Slow. 2, 1, go!
So you can save the people. What's up?
Start over. I didn't have you in from the beginning. Start over.
All right, here he goes. Here he goes. This is called Bruce Wayne. Why does Bruce Wayne live in a mansion? Why are superheroes all such fascists? Why does Superman use his fist of steel to punch through an ATM? Liberate the cash for all the masses so he can save the people who need saving instead of all these privileged characters taken from a fairy tale 2019. Robin Hood must be turning in his grave. They say chivalry and attached it to greed. It even permeates children's stories. In fact, that's why we should all be worried. Oh yeah. There once was a time when the children of all the working class would never have dared been fooled by the lies of people like Spider-Man. But here we find ourselves living in the present, and you know that we barely got any kind of movement. And I wonder what it's gonna take before we start to see some real progressive kind of art for the children and the world too. Cause we're coming down to a place where we really got a need for something like that. So I'm joining you right here this afternoon. All right, that was
All right. So we're joined today by the prolific Marlon Storm, also known as Marlon Stern. Also, what are some of your other handles?
I used to be called the Dirty.
AKA the Dirty. All right.
A band called the Dirty.
Yeah. So tell us about the song. Why are superheroes such fascists?
Yeah. Well, that's the idea of the song. I feel like they're trying to influence the youth, to love the billionaire class. I was actually playing banjo in front of a Vons on Topanga in like Canoga Park a few years ago, and I saw a kid with a Batman shirt. He was a little working class kid, and I was just like thinking about it. I'm like, Batman's a billionaire.
Yeah.
This kid's like getting out of a car that looks like it's having trouble to run, and parents looking kind of poor and stuff. And it's cool. Batman's cool. A lot of people like Batman, but it's interesting to me that the superhero, is this billionaire. Or Bruce Wayne's a billionaire, though. But yeah, that's Bruce Wayne is Batman.
I think people they like a brooding soul, but you don't just because you're brooding doesn't mean you have to beat up poor people and tie them up for the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah. But most of the superheroes, they work with the cops, huh? Even like Spider-Man.
Yeah. I'm not as like schooled on superheroes. Yeah. But yeah, Spider-Man has fashy qualities. I think Superman had less fashy qualities because there were some subversive things going on from the Depression when Superman came out, and the creators of Superman were actually he was based on being like somebody from another country. Like Krypton was a metaphor for coming from Eastern Europe or Italy or something like that back in the day, and there was a lot of negativity towards those people coming here from those parts of Europe in those days. And Superman actually had some progressive things going on, but it was probably through a lens of free market this and free market that, and more so as the 50s and 60s came in modern times.
Yeah, he definitely became a Captain America type figure. So yeah, no, that's great. So what inspires you, generally speaking, to put these songs together? I know you're really good with you're really big on the improv.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
second half of that was improv because I could not remember the original lyrics. So half the time
yeah,
where I'm doing improv is because I can't remember my lyrics. But
yeah,
nah, I want to impact the youth. And that's why I came up with that song. That's a song I actually wrote, lyrics to. A lot of the times I don't even bother with lyrics. I try to go into a room and talk about what's going on in the room, what's going on in the world, what's going on in my life, and roll it all together in something. And hopefully people recognize that it's entertaining to listen to. It sounds all right and it's current. But yeah, with that song, I was inspired by seeing this kid, and I was thinking about how to impact the youth. And I
yeah.
thought,
Yeah.
sing about superheroes.
So you were really big back in Occupy Los Angeles. You were an occupier. You were out there, but I remember seeing you many times out there, kind of singing songs, kind of singing about whatever it was you saw in front of you. And can you speak to your experiences in Occupy Los Angeles and be kind of a troubadour of that movement?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of stuff. It's interesting because nowadays, when I talk to people who were at different Occupy movements, whether it was Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Oakland, well, those are the big ones: Occupy LA, Wall Street, Oakland. But there was a lot of them. At some point, there was maybe 100, maybe more. I don't remember the numbers. But when I talk to people now and I talk about things that I saw that inspired a poem that I wrote at the time, um, a lot of people saw the same things. They saw the same disruptions because I remember there was this good little mixture of liberals and leftists all having the General Assembly, which is like an anarchist structure of facilitating governance of some sort, and you had to come to a complete consensus. And there was always one person that would stop a consensus so that we could not move forward. And finally, when it was too late, they passed a thing where we don't have to have 100% consensus. We got 500 people. If there's one or two infiltrators trying to stop us from making a decision, we can move forward with 498 people agreeing or something or other. But
Yeah, some kind of
before
equation.
that happened, I remember there was this big uh, chasm between two groups of people, and some people were too friendly to the police, and some people weren't, and people almost came to blows during the General Assembly. And that, to a lot of people, was a breaking point for Occupy, but simultaneously, there was other weird things happening. Because I remember I led a march to a space in Boyle Heights at the time where they were discussing why the Occupy movement was not for the people from Boyle Heights. And I got about maybe 20 people to walk from downtown LA to Corazon del Pueblo in Boyle Heights. And we came into the meeting and they're talking and they're like, I think I raised my hand and they didn't want to hear from me or something. And then one of the members there was like, "Oh yeah, let's hear from Marlon," because they asked permission. The people facilitating this discussion about why Occupy was not
Mhm.
the movement for that neighborhood or whatever. And but some of the other people who organized there knew me, and they let me speak, and I said my thing, and then we came back. We walked back to Occupy, and that very day, I mean, it wasn't connected to my march, but it was kind of interesting that I was trying to say how this movement was for everybody or whatever. But that very day, it was very disrupted. There was the General Assembly was torn into two pieces. The remnants of the old General Assembly, everybody looked kind of frazzled and was on the north lawn. And the south lawn, there was a new General Assembly where it was talk about whatever you want for however long you want with no structure at all. And it just turned into nothing. And then suddenly there was a lot of drugs there. Overnight, there was a lot of chaos. That night there was people fighting in between the tents, and there was somebody came up to me. He's like, "I'm on acid the first time," and it was an activist that I just never thought I would see at a
Yeah,
saying that. And there was
no names.
yeah, I'm not gonna say any names, but But it was interesting because like earlier that day, somebody offered me acid, and then there was like it seemed like a lot of people took acid that same day. Some of the tables that formerly would have been political, like really like people thinking of intelligent things, were replaced with these two big cakes with marijuana leaves, and they were handing out free marijuana. And this was like before weed was just totally legal in California.
Yeah.
It was weird. There was some weird
Yeah.
things happening. I think there was a guy that same night with a heroin needle in his arm. A lot of stuff happened all of a sudden overnight.
I remember seeing. I was there in the first a couple days. I would go down and visit and go to the events. And I remember at the very end. I mean, way after it was before the police broke it up, but long after it was viable, we'll say, right? I saw one of these general assemblies. This guy was getting up there, and they were arguing with each other. And this guy's like, "That's not what that last person did. Occupy is not about that. It's not about communism. It's not about yoga." Yeah, man. But no, but it was a good thing. I mean, introduced the concept of the 99, the 1%, all that. I mean,
They
that's
wanted to decolonize Occupy.
yeah. Well, me, to decolonize something would be to invest in it and actually go and do something. I had no interest in that. I kind of wanted to do a performance and get the hell out. Like that was kind of my relationship with a lot of, if I'm really honest, that's my relationship with a lot of things. But anyways, this isn't about me, it's about you. So the skills that are required, to tell your audience what kind of skills does it require to be able to just listen to a moment, to listen to a room, and then make art on the spot. Because I remember when we were in Chicago, you came up with this song on the moment. It was very beautiful, and we were just like kind of looking around the room, and you were talking about your day, and you were at your grandfather's grave, and then there was a deer. I mean, it was just like it was really moving. And you came up with it all on the spot. I could never do something like that. So can you tell me a little bit about your skill process of just how do you do it?
Well, I keep things kind of open, and my lifestyle is kind of to just roll with things. And I had gone on a bus, and I think the group we were with was a little upset about that. But I had taken a bus from where we were in Chicago west down Roosevelt Road to my grandfather's grave that earlier day. So part of it is just like going on these adventures that cause things to happen that make me write about it. And it doesn't have to be like a crazy adventure, because I know like some of the hardcore DIY people, they want to hop on a freight train, which is cool if you can do that. They'll hop on a freight train and be fighting with I forgot what they call them, with the rail police and whatever. And they'll have
Yeah,
all kinds of stories about like ending up, dropped off in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, outside of like a 7-Eleven or a Circle K or some shit, and what they ran into over there. And I haven't lived that cool of a lifestyle, but like with this, I took a bus to the cemetery, where
yeah,
my grandfather was buried in 1945, and this deer appeared, and it really did inspire me to sing the song. But I think when I pick up my banjo or my guitar, and I have the story of whatever happened that day or earlier that week, it's I have this like I want to inspire people to want to tell their own story. I want to inspire people to think about how life is not as mundane as we're told it is. Like there's things happening constantly all around us that if you're paying attention, you could turn it into art.
yeah. So let's hear another song. Before you do that, though, we last year you know what? Do your song, then we'll talk about what happened last year.
When I was busting out in Panorama City, over at the Ralph's one time, I was singing about I am the ghost, I am the person that came before this. What you want to hear about? this guy came up to me when I was talking about how I'm the ghost. I'm the person that came before, and he looked at me kind of crazy. Then he threw some money down on my banjo case. I felt like he really saw a ghost. And I knew that I came face to face with something that came before me. There in the neighborhood in Panorama City, the city I was born in 1984. Down the street at the Kaiser, and you see all these people pushing around their shopping carts. You know that it's evil. How this world treats them, and I know that easily I could have been there, but here I am, playing my banjo, because I got a little bit of privilege to just run and ramble with my banjo. But you know, now I'm just doing what I do, singing off the top of my head with the homie Maxie. Oh, yeah, we're gonna be having an interview here on a Wednesday afternoon, and I'll say, now is the time to take a look inside what you want to do with your life. What's it gonna take for the people to wake up? This is the Fight Club moment we've been waiting for, when they hold a gun out to that dude and they say, go out, do what you want to, cause now is the time. No more excuses, gotta get out of bed and play that banjo, cause you know you've been walking around like a living dead for too long. Now is the time to wake up. Now is the time to wake up. Alright, that's about all I got.
All right. Yeah, that's right. Get up out of bed. Play that banjo. Oh man, that was so funny. The last open mic, one of the last open mics before everything got shut down. I remember I was hosting, and I wanted you to, play your band. You didn't a poem, but I was like, play some music too. And I said like, go out get your banjo, right? But I you accidentally say something in a mean voice. You didn't even mean it like that way, but I said it in that it was like a scene out of Goodfellas, like, go get your shine box, go get your banjo. But yeah, it was great.
Which open mic was this?
That was at the East Side Cafe.
Oh, like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, before the world ended.
Yeah, like the day before it ended. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, so that was great. Last year, you're talking about writing this music. How would you describe your music? Would it be like folk punk, or would that be an accurate kind of?
I would say folk punk. It's in the category of folk punk.
Category, okay. So drawing some inspiration from these older folk singers. Last year, actually, we put together this kind of poetry play, periodical, kind of scholarly, interesting kind of thing called LA Times Bomb, and you actually played the character of Joe Hill. So what was that? What was it like for you?
That was cool. I mean, Joe Hill is one of my heroes. The IWW used to have this really awesome Joe Hill pin, which I lost in a mosh pit or something. And then I asked the IWW, can you get that for me again? And they're like, that was a once in a lifetime thing. You screwed up. It was like the IWW. It was like the IWW gulag or something. They're like, yeah, you got the pin and you lost it. That's the deepest punishment you'll ever suffer.
Know what you've done.
Yeah. They kind of guilted me. They were just like, yeah, that was a really good opinion. You're never gonna get that again.
Yeah.
But I like Joe Hill. Joe Hill's a cool story. I found a recording when I was doing research of how to play that song, Preacher and the Slave, that you recommended. Yeah. And because I like the idea of Joe Hill. I did not know enough about him. I knew he was a Swedish immigrant. I knew he was like a union organizer. I knew he was, assassinated. I knew the legend about him, that they framed him on a murder charge because, he was dangerous to the copper bosses. But I didn't know that, a lot of people didn't know much about him. And I found this recording with an unknown singer. And he says he was the first person to ever sing Preacher and the Slave in Spokane in like 1910. And that he personally met Joe Hill. And you can hear that the guy is really old and he's being recorded in probably the 30s or early 40s. And the interviewer's like, what was Joe Hill? What was he like? And this guy's just like, he's a man of mystery. Nobody really knew the man. So Joe Hill's this mysterious kind of union agitating guy who just rode freight trains with a guitar, which I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
is cool.
And so then that that extends on down to Woody Guthrie, and then and others. So what do you see yourself kind of in that do you think of yourself or as attempting to do that kind of in that kind of line of like kind of troubadour of the working class kind of thing?
Well, yeah, that's been my mo here and there. It's a Joe Hill answer,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I like that. I like that. Well, what's the Woody Guthrie answer?
a Woody Guthrie answer. I don't know. He'd probably not be wanting to tell you about how his dad was some kind of a fascist, but it's.
Trying to hide that.
There's probably some irony in there. Not that my dad was a fascist, but like,
Yeah.
What a Woody Guthrie answer. Woody Guthrie was a lot more prolific. Yeah, I'd like to get back out there and play some more shows. I was, the world was seeming a little bit stable for a while, and it was seeming like nothing was going to change. And now we're in a time where things are changing very fast and very dramatically, and it's making me want to play music again. So,
Yeah.
if there's shows, if there's venues, if people want to hear somebody rant and rave about the system, I'm the guy.
Well, you know what? I think right now is a really great opportunity for ranting and raving because it does suck that we're all stuck in, but we gotta look at the other way. We are all stuck in, and because
Yeah.
so many of us are stuck in, that means there's a captive audience. I mean, and people are looking for content, people looking to connect. I myself am really feeling it right now too. I mean, I'm feeling this greater and greater desire to talk to people and do this right now. So like if I'm feeling it, you're feeling it. I'm sure everyone else is feeling it too. So I think that I would really encourage you to start doing this and singing songs. And you did the other day. You did a 20-minute video. Was that a 20-minute song?
No, I stopped and talked a lot because I did what I used to do during the open mic, which is like I'll do stuff off the top of my head, but if it's not working, after I get like a good bar of like stuff that I thought sounded good, I'll stop and I'll start talking to the audience. And it sounds funny. It
Yeah.
sounds funny, but the reality is I'm just stopping myself because I can feel that I'm running out of words.
Yeah. So you're kind of like a combination of like Joe Hill and George Costanza. Like you like
George Costanza.
you leave on
It's
the
a
high note.
fictional character, man.
Yeah. You got that high note and you're done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. In improv, they call that a button. You put like a button on it, so it's yeah, you good at that.
George Hill, Joe Costanza.
George Hill, I love it. Well, you want to play one more song for us, and
Let me grab a guitar real quick. A guitar. Let's see. Let me see if I can find my guitar.
On a tour. Their new friend, George Hill.
George Hill.
So Corazon del Pueblo, that's a great memory.
Yeah, it was. That was one of the most awesome spaces that I ever played at. I really liked the open mic there. There was always energy like I've never quite experienced at any other open mic. Every time I would go there, there'd be some new artists that would just really open my eyes or just, push it to something I didn't think of. Even after I'd been there a bunch of times, I'm like, I'm not going to see anything new. There would always be something new there.
Yeah.
Here's that Occupy story. MK Ultra attack. The crazy struts get rogue, cover beside the front and the back. distract every plan, every facilitation, every piss taken behind every tree. Nobody leaves Occupy LA in one piece. Thank the FBI for the effectiveness with which they distract us from our needs. No freedom for the people, no moving in the streets. The most beautiful thing that I had ever seen seemed like a dream even before we heard the screams. Like a nightmare, the good parts were just out of reach. Community complicated by imposed ideas. Unity just a few seconds away. Catharsis, metamorphosis, and awakenings constantly happening by co-opted by the next round of blunts, Mickeys, and Advents. Not to mention mysterious black bands and CIA provided MK Ultra crazies. Revolution knocking on our door, we can't hear it of the deafening clamor of classism, racism, police brutality, and a deep denial about who is really on our side. We learned the hard way, like Fred Hampton or the George Mason Brigade, that the ruling class will not have people unifying or standing up to say they have had enough dividing. The fun part of the 21st century American class struggle may be over, but the class war is just beginning. The future won't be a party or a picnic, but the ending just may involve dancing and cake, cause the shattered ecosystem will no longer take the consumerist needs of 7 billion humans trained to feed on billions of pounds of corporate livestock created to satisfy our exploiters' greed. Whether the mass movement succeeds or not, the jig is up. 90-degree sunshine during the Rose Parade tells me something's very wrong indeed. Something bigger than the 6 mile long, 2 feet deep pile of trash generated on Colorado Boulevard each year's first week. More trash in 6 hours than occupiers made in 3 months. And when all is said and done, they have the nerve to tell us we're the messy ones. Well, they must pay with their precious water hogging laws. Lawsuits, bail money, the crack of their batons. Well, it's freedom. It's a hypocrisy of people saying, telling freedom fighters that anyway.
All right. Hey, you remixed yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So where can people follow up with you? Where can they find your stuff? What are you up to, and what are your final words?
I got a Marlon Stern Facebook page. Could like that. I've got a couple songs on there. My final words are, I have faith that the world is going to be better at some point in the future. We're gonna see another side of this, and it's gonna push people to do something.
All right, to doing something.
Yeah.
I will talk to you soon, man. I appreciate it.
Later on, man.